you shave it off?
No. Don't be talking crazy.
Yeah.
Not sure my fiance would marry me if I shaved off my beard. I'm too pretty with it.
Nice.
Your facial testosterone flow.
Yeah, I'm just too goddamn sexy.
Dude I knew in high school posted a picture on Facebook today. He used to have a full beard. He shaved it off into what he thought was like a cop stash.
Oh no.
No, it's like
Child
like a
molester
beefy,
stash?
yeah, it's like a beefy pedo stash.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he just put pedo bear right here and just like walking around.
As my little child tickler.
Gotcha, bitch.
Are we live?
Oh god, we're gonna get arrested.
Oh,
Hey,
God.
stop yelling at me.
Oh Christ. Oh god, we're horrible human beings and I love it.
Yeah, I know.
You should join us on Monday night.
Yeah, if anything is a good ad for that. Hey there, Soul Man. Welcome to chat, and welcome to the downfall of humanity.
Oh, all right. So Donnie had a great one.
Yeah, let's get this out before we go.
Yeah,
The
all right.
actual episode.
So Donnie.
I like how viewers change from 1 to 0.
I can't take it. So, all right. So Donnie had a fantastic line on Monday night. He's like, "Yeah, so here we're getting a thick Tomsy this weekend, a good solid 6 to 8 inches."
Jesus.
Depending on the medication, it could be a foot. Over, stop yelling at me.
At least it's not my stupid ass dog.
Oh,
Oh yeah, how's that going?
Yeah, I remember that I don't like having dogs. Especially one that is a basset hound that has separation anxiety. So as soon as you leave...
Oh yeah, my dog has that. Like that's why we have to crate him because he tore up a carpet. Had to pay $100 to get that fixed.
Well, apparently crating her is going to be rather tough because crating has been used as a punishment before.
Oh no!
For a significant amount of time.
That sucks.
So,
it's like putting a cat in a bag.
you know, yeah, our 2 cats are not very happy about the dog. That's for sure. My one cat is trying to fight the dog. God, it's just so much fun.
Outside of the noise aspect of these two, they don't chew much of anything.
Yeah. Well,
Every
this
once
dog
in-
doesn't really want to do anything except when you decide to leave, then it starts going crazy. And it's like 7, so you can't. It's going to be really tough to break them, to break
Yeah.
all of these issues.
Good thing you're California. You got quick access to Caesar.
Yeah. Have them come out. Have them, psst.
There's a period of like 2-3 days right after we got Cooper where we decided that was what we were going to do to discourage him from doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And like day 3, we both kind of looked at each other and were like, I want to hit you every time you do that. You
Yeah.
need to stop.
We actually do that to the cats because cats hate that noise. Where you're like, psst,
Yeah.
and they're just like, oh, Jesus.
I recommend a squirt bottle
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one for the cats.
or biting them.
I will not bite this dog.
If I could catch Cooper to do so, I would consider.
I don't like this dog enough to bite it. And
I,
she will go in the shower, so water is not a deterrent.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've
my
given.
dogs.
Huh?
Oh, I was gonna say my dogs hate the fucking. Dogs hate me getting in the fucking shower.
And it's like, oh man, you're gonna die in there, dude.
No,
Oh,
it is. I'll save you.
It is. All right, you guys get the fuck out in 12-degree weather. I need to go wash the stank off.
Yeah.
Like,
All right. You guys ready to do this biz?
yeah, we're
Yes.
playing it pretty fast and loose so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston, going around the room. We got Knobs.
What's up?
And we got the Hannah.
Hey.
Uh,
I don't have a hand gesture.
that's probably a good thing.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's the chair, Carlton.
So we're recording this episode early because I'm getting married in 2 short days.
Hooray! Congratulations.
We're not ready to do this yet. So you'll be hearing this after we've gone through said
And
ceremony.
apparently she's not a fan of the show.
No, we're just like we're having people come over Saturday for a party afterwards. We're not ready. We're just like we're not at all. So we have a toddler and a new basset hound in the house. So if there's noises downstairs, I'm sorry, I'm powerless against it.
Yeah.
That's my life now. All right, so we're gonna do a mailbag episode. Yay! Because we can't record on Sunday. So, I have a whole slew of questions here, and hopefully
Awesome.
those fine ladies and gents that have hopped into chat can also grace us with some fine questions. Whoops, sorry, Scott.
Indeed.
All right, let's start off with tweets.
Awesome.
First one is from Moonpier. He says, recommend me some older mobile games, books, and music, please. I consider myself a metaler. So I'm assuming he says, I like metal.
Or does he like meddling?
Oh, maybe. He spells it Metaller. So I'm assuming. So
That is
older,
metal. mate.
older mobile games, books, and music.
Let me pull up the library here. Hold on.
Okay. Would White Zombie be considered metal?
Yes. Sludge?
Like
sort
Astro
of?
Creep?
Like groove sludge metal? Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, White Zombie rules way better than Rob Zombie's solo stuff by
Yeah.
like about 1,000 miles, except for maybe the first Rob Zombie album. I
Astro
can't-
Creep 2000.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Astro
that's
Creep's
the
all you
album.
need.
That is, dude, that is
From
a
front to
solid
back.
album.
God, let me just. I don't even know where to begin. Like metal is not. It's not enough. It's not narrow enough.
What do you need? Swedish death metal?
No, I need
Yeah,
like
but which kind?
Ghost
doom,
I know.
death, thrash, black. Like what? What do you want here? I'll make a list in my head here. I got a lot. So
I don't know.
Uh,
like
older mobile
music.
games.
Oh man, mobile games.
I was actually gonna keep suggesting music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I would actually recommend very highly. I don't really think it's metal, but that album, Monster. Hold on, Monster Magnet. Their best album.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
What's
that's a
the
good
name of that
album
one?
too.
The red one.
Oh, I can't remember.
Hold on, I'll
off the
pull it
top
up.
of
The
my
one that's got Space Lord on it.
No, no, that's crazy. Dopes to Infinity.
head. Oh, there it is.
Go get that
Yeah.
one. That one's outstanding. I think that's by and far their best album.
I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something like crazy and like heavy and sludgy, I will recommend High on Fire, Snakes for the Divine.
Boy,
Because
that's a
they're
metal album title.
yeah. Oh, dude, they're the best. They're stoner doom metal. Well, not really doom, more sludge.
A little heavier groove band of Acid Bath.
Oh, Acid Bath
Oh,
is
yeah.
great. If you want something kind of crazy symphonic, I would recommend Camelot, spelled with a K, of course.
It's a good band. It's a really good band.
Camelot. Okay, so Camelot, they're not only great musically, the former lead singer, and I hate that he's the former lead singer, Roy Khan, he's one of the best vocalists I've ever heard. Period.
Such a cool name.
Phenomenal. He's phenomenal, and he
Roy
quit
Khan.
because he found Jesus.
If you like any sort of music that I like, you need to get Sleep's Holy Mountain by Sleep.
Oh yeah,
That's a quintessential album.
That's actually Matt Pike is also in High on Fire. He's the front man.
Oh, it's all coming together.
Yeah, Sleep, High on Fire, that stuff's great.
Sky Valley by Caius.
Yes,
Get that.
everything Caius did, because that is Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age,
Yeah.
and that man can play.
Smashing Pumpkins Gish is surprisingly heavy.
Yeah, actually.
Oh God, I have so many here. If
Let's
you
do
like,
like 2 or 3 more.
All right, if you're into rhythmic stuff, anything by Meshuggah, but especially Obzen.
Yeah. I got that album around somewhere. Oh,
And
old Soulfly, too.
I was actually going to recommend Sepultura.
Sepultura's
That's a good
great,
call,
too.
too.
Sepultura, I would go with Chaos AD. I would skip Roots or whatever album that's on. Yeah, don't skip Roots. That's where everything went south.
I gotta recommend the Ohio band. I got a Mushroom Head in there somewhere.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
Oh, and just because the lead singer was recently found with 11 grams of meth in Norway, Saint Vitus.
There we go. All right, let's move on to.
Do you want to make a meth lab?
Let's move on to older mobile games. You should just buy Game Dev Story.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a
solid
little
one.
broken on iOS 8. Like some of the frames for buttons are weird, but it still plays.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what you mean, but like exactly what you mean by older, because I would recommend all the old PopCap games.
Oh yeah, is there
Peggle.
Peggle for
No.
like iPhone?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, they're on iPhone, they're on Android. I don't know if they're on the Android store anymore, but you can get them.
Pick up the first
and-
Plants vs Zombies. That game is
Yeah,
outstanding.
You know what? I just played that for the first time a couple days ago.
Oh really? That game is really good. The second
It's
one
awesome.
is less so, but just like Peggle 2, it's less good.
Some of the old Endless Runners were still fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that first big one?
Tomb Runner or something? Temple Run.
Temple
Run.
Run. Yeah. What
Yep.
was that first big one? The like grayscale side
Oh,
scrolling?
Cannibalt.
Cannibalt. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like the
Cannibal's
granddaddy of them all.
I would recommend. I mean, 2048 will run on anything, and that'll get you a few hours. Super Hexagon
I was just
is
gonna recommend
fantastic.
that.
Yeah, I played a ton of Super Hexagon. And of course, Nautica Crash will run on probably
Yeah,
anything.
Nautica Crash is about 400 years old, so
Say it right. Nautica Crash.
Nautica Crash.
Nautica Crash.
Nautica Crash.
All right, what
Nautica
about
Crash.
books? A good book
Ooh, I'm
recommendations.
out of my depth here.
Oh, books, dude. Just go find Grimm's Fairy Tales. This book is awesome.
I can recommend if you're a fan of the 80s and video games, you should read Ready Player One.
Oh
It's
yeah,
one of the best video game books out there.
it's phenomenal.
I would recommend. Oh man, no, I don't even remember the title of it.
Well, as a huge Neil Gaiman fan, I have to recommend American Gods, Anansi Boys, and Neverwhere.
Yeah. Pick up the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. That and the oh man, what's the related books to those? This and another series got me back into reading. Once I was done with that, The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss is good.
Okay. If you're into something a little more short bursts, I would recommend the What If book by Randall Munroe of XKCD.
Oh yeah.
That was phenomenal.
I'm still a huge fan of Bill Bryson's short history and nearly everything.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic from start to finish. I think out of any book that I've had, I think I've probably read that one the most.
I was a big fan of How to Fight Presidents, Defending Yourself Against the I won't say that one, who ran this country, by Dan O'Brien from Crack.com. Which was...
I actually just finished reading Amy Poehler's memoirs, Yes Please. That was really good, and I would recommend Bossy Pants by Tina Fey.
Yeah.
Both of those are absolutely outstanding.
Licking the floor.
I've been reading a lot this year. A lot more
Yeah.
than I typically do. I probably read twice the number of books.
I've been audiobooking a lot. Oh, God, if you're a fan of Patton Oswalt at all, I would say read his book, Zombie Spaceship Wasteland.
Yeah, it's a little hit and miss, but when it hits, it does really well.
Yeah.
And the last book I really read was Horns by Joe Hill.
How was that?
It was really good.
Nice.
I've heard the movie is not as good as it because it changes a significant amount of it. I haven't seen it yet, but the book was good, and it was better than I was expecting out of Stephen King's son.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would be remiss if I did not mention my favorite Stephen King book, The Eyes of the Dragon.
Oh, I was going to recommend Firestarter. That's my favorite Stephen
Oh,
King
yeah?
book.
Oh.
The one that nobody likes. We're like, oh, Firestarter? Oh, well.
Oh. I don't know. I remember The Shining terrifying me when I was reading that in high school.
Yeah. I'm the only guy that does not like The Dark Tower, so don't read that.
Yeah, fair enough.
One of you, like I enjoyed, like I got 6 books into that, and I just kind of like I can't take it.
I finished the first book, and I'm like, wow, this is not good. This is nonsensical.
So to get back to sort of music as well, because I just realized Stephen King wrote The Tommyknockers, and Blind Guardian wrote a song about the book. So
there you go, full
both
circle.
of those, yes.
All right, thank you, Moonpeer, for your tweet. Let's move on to Many Derek. Got lucky, he says 2 questions here. Got lucky and got PAX East tickets. Ooh. Never been to any convention before. Any of you ever been? Any tips or advice?
So I've never been to. I went to the Bit Bash Chicago this year. That's the closest I've come to a gaming convention. Mm-hmm. But I used to go to back when I was still big into anime. I went to Anime Central pretty much every year from 04 to 06. And I mean, standard rules apply. Like, look, don't touch as far as cosplay goes.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah, like that's really like
to put it pretty bluntly. Like, if you think, am I being a jerk by doing this? Then don't do that.
Yeah.
And bring money and wear comfortable shoes.
Yes.
Bring cash.
I recommend any shoe inserts or sole inserts for your shoes.
Yep.
It will take so much pressure off your legs.
Yeah. Do they have like a dealer room at PAX where you can buy stuff?
I get the impression it's kind of most of the floor.
Okay. In that case, I would say my recommendation is always wait till the last day if there's something that you're not like on the fence on, because a lot of these guys, if they have physical goods, don't want to carry it all back with them, and they might cut you a deal.
RoboPig in chat says hit some of the panels so you aren't standing the whole day. There you go, and you'll probably see something cool.
Yeah.
His second question, been playing around with posting videos on YouTube. Is there a way to get the game sound down? It seems like my mic is very muffled. Without more info, nothing specific, it sounds like either you need a better mic, because it's either not very high quality, or it's like laying against your shirt or something, like if you have one of those like iPhone type mics.
Yeah.
Either that or go into the game and turn the game music and sound effects way down.
Yeah. If you're using something like OBS, you can actually control those two things individually from the front interface on that software.
Yeah, and if you're using something like OBS and XSplit, I think XSplit does it. I don't know if OBS does it. You can actually just record locally. So just like record something for 10 minutes and then play it back for yourself and see how it hears. Or how it sounds. Hear how it hears. I'm so tired. That way, at that point, you can... I killed knobs. That way, because the hard part about streaming is you're going to have to spend a lot of time up front to kind of make it sound good, and it's going to be really frustrating. So you just kind of need to spend the time to go through and kind of put the effort in.
I don't know why I found that so funny.
The other Jay-Z in chat says Audacity is also great for that stuff. Yeah, just fire up Audacity. It's free, and just record yourself. Just set your mic as your primary output and just record the audio and see what that sounds like.
Yeah. And yeah, as far as, I mean, like I said, it depends on what software you're using. Just trying to balance the output of your actual game sound versus your mic sound. I mean, it's going to change. Like, games can get louder and quieter as you go, so you just got to try and find a good balance.
Some games are extraordinarily loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, like every time I play Risk of Rain, I have to turn the volume down to about 10%.
Wow. Well, it's nothing like, remember that opening scene in Left 4 Dead? It's just like, I forgot how loud this game was
just
every week.
Next tweet is from Blue Shoes. I finally made it to Galloping Ghost.
Oh, awesome.
What recent games would make the best arcade cabinets other than fighting games? And then he just writes Spelunky.
Yes.
Spelunky would be a quarter munching machine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Risk of Rain would actually be a pretty interesting arcade machine.
That'd be a fun two-player co-op machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Castle Crashers being awesome four-player cabinet.
Oh, yeah, like the old X-Men arcade cabinet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be phenomenal.
What else would be good? Guitar Hero
Oh.
was an arcade machine, so I can't even say that.
It was not a good arcade machine.
Well,
though.
yeah.
They botched it.
Fez would be awesome with a trackball.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
RoboPig in chat says Hotline Miami.
Yeah,
That's
that's
an
a solid
interesting
one.
one.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Renegade Ops would be great.
Oh, yeah.
Any dual stick shooters. Geometry Wars, right there.
Yep, Geometry Wars would be phenomenal.
A really good quarter muncher would be Bionic Commando Rearmed.
Yeah.
It's just,
The game was a lot easier than the original.
well, that's true. The original's kind of mean.
Oh, this is a game I was playing a while ago. Hammer Watch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
a phenomenal one.
That would be good.
And just to throw a fighting game in there, Lethal League would be great in arcade.
Shadow Complex.
Ooh, interesting. I wonder...
Because you could power through that game and like what was that one low runtime, like 15 minutes?
It was like 13, 15 minutes. Oh,
Yeah.
it's 13%.
Yeah.
The new Strider should have its own arcade machine.
The other Jay-Z says Monaco. That would be good.
yeah,
As like a
that'd be
cool
really cool.
four-player, like... Yeah, a lot of really good... The Boot 71 says Resogun. That'd be interesting.
Ooh, yeah.
There's so many good arcade games out now, like Pac-Man
Yeah.
CEDX.
Yeah.
Let's do that one. That game's
Yes.
great.
Let's definitely do that one.
Man. I can't think of anything else, so let's go over to emails.
Emails.
What's up?
Dave,
email?
aka RoboPig, writes in last minute submission as you guys just started recording. Is there anyone well known in the gaming press whose opinion you value? I've always been interested in Adam Sessler's take on a gaming topic. Okay, he has some more questions. I like Patrick Klepek a lot.
Yeah.
I don't always agree with him, but I feel like his work is historically well researched, so I can always appreciate that.
Yeah. Back when EGM was still coming out, I really, really liked Dan Shu.
Yeah, he was always, except for that one very, very famous review,
Yeah.
he was typically very even-keeled.
Yeah, and all the Giant Bomb guys really like Jeff Gerstmann and
Yeah,
Brett Shoemaker.
Yeah, I'm such a big fan of all them.
I
Yeah.
like Shoemaker's opinions a lot. As much as Gerstmann drives me bananas, I find myself agreeing with him all the time.
Yeah, and you hate to do it too.
It's like, oh, I guess he's right.
You almost don't want to like it out of spite.
Yeah.
You know?
My favorite person on Giant Bomb is Vinny.
Yeah.
Just because
He's a goof.
he
I love him.
finds the crazy things to love about a game and he can say like, all right, this game isn't good, but I really love it, and here's why you should pay attention to it. Like when he played that Velvet Sundown game or whatever it was, that's a bad game, but he found enough in it to be interested in it and to get you interested in how crazy it is.
Yeah, and as far as like devs, I've found there's a few like Adam Saltzman, the guy who originally developed Cannibalt.
Yeah.
He's got some really interesting ideas on game design. I follow him on Twitter. I think it's Adam Atomic. There's a what's his name? I'm trying to remember some of these dudes' names.
I would actually recommend on Destructoid, Dale North. I usually like his reviews.
Okay.
Oh, and I shouldn't forget the old some of the old One Up crew who's still doing really great stuff. Kat Bailey and Jeremy Parrish over at I don't even remember where they're at now. I'm very sorry. And he's at Phil Kohler at Polygon.
Okay.
He typically reviews a lot of their RPGs, and he's still doing fantastic work.
Nice.
Parrish and Kat Bailey are at usgamer.net, which, if you like long-form video game writing, they do a lot of absolutely outstanding stuff.
Yeah. Who else? There's one other, and he's not a couple of the guys I'm going to mention aren't like necessarily like mainstream gaming or like journalists necessarily. A couple of these guys are developers, but I really like their opinions and like the stuff they go through on Twitter. Robert Boyd, who is the guy who did all the like Cthulhu Saves the World and Breath of Death 7 and the Penny Arcade Reigns like Precipice of Darkness 3 and 4.
Yeah.
His just a lot of the stuff he puts out there is really interesting, and they're more curators. They find interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's another guy, Richard Davey, who I found through Adam Saltzman. He wrote. So Adam Saltzman created a Flash game library called Flixel that I used to use for personal projects, and Richard Davey made an incredible set of plugins for that library. And he's huge into like HTML5 gaming, and it's just really interesting to read if you're into like the more technical aspects of it, the sort of stuff that they come up with.
I would actually recommend, going back to Giant Bomb here, every Monday, Patrick writes an article called Worth Reading.
Yes.
And he basically curates a lot of really interesting and kind of not always the most popular stuff online, but he's always kind of finding little hidden gems or long-form stuff or crazy videos. So I could only... Every Monday it comes out, and it's always a really, really good read of just cool stuff surrounding the gaming industry online.
Yeah.
He continues here. Do you ever wish Atari and Sega or others were still producing consoles? And do you think a fourth console maker could gain traction in the current gaming climate? No and no. I think
there's a part of me that wishes Sega was still making hardware because they just had some brass balls.
Yeah. I always appreciated how crazy Sega was willing to go with their hardware, like, you know, the Sonic lock-on stuff, just creative solutions to problems
that you didn't even know you had.
Yeah. I think
that you didn't even know you wanted.
Yeah.
I think there's no universe where Atari could have ever made it. They couldn't roll with the punches. I mean,
too much
they couldn't keep
in that
up.
company.
Yeah.
Way too much ego, way too much they weren't. If you read a lot of the stuff that happened and the reason the crash in the 80s happened, it was a lot of just big-headedness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think a fourth console maker could gain traction unless all of the consoles were like $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you look at, I would want to throw Ouya under the bus, but I don't even think Ouya's failure was its own.
Nope.
I just don't think people wanted to play Android games on a TV.
No.
Yeah. I mean, that was just, I think that was an attempt at the market that ultimately failed.
Yeah. The only reason I would say I want Sega to still be making hardware is because look at where they were with the Dreamcast in the early 2000s. Like, they were already high-speed modem, the built-in 56K modem, an MMO, keyboard, mouse.
Yep.
What would they be doing today?
Yeah.
Like,
well, think of
4K, motion gaming.
Well, I mean, think of what they pushed with the Dreamcast was on par to probably third or fourth generation PS2 games and Xbox games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from something that significantly was less powered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
I mean, they were able to optimize their hardware for I think their big they were still suffering from the Saturn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Saturn and it was the NFL stuff. I mean,
Yes.
it was the two final nails in their coffin. I mean, there's no way they could have come back from that.
But man, if they could have, and they were still making a hard they'd be pioneering 4K. They would be all about persistent online.
It'd be interesting to see if we got the Xbox if the Dreamcast was successful.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing. I don't know if they would have ever moved forward with it.
Yeah, I don't know if that market would have stood for that.
Probably not.
Would have been very interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
The other GZ sent us a bunch of titles here. Some of them are not podcast appropriate. Some of them are really good, like "Well, we had a good run" and "Sorry, honey, the listeners need me." He says, "Mazel tov on the wedding, Boston. Does Steam even do wedding registrations?" Regrettably, no. That will probably be the next thing they do.
Well, apparently, I don't know. I think you own Steam at this point, Boston.
Have I told you guys how many games I own now?
No.
Where are you at?
475.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
I'm at like 350.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm at exactly 350.
I mean, these Steam sales where it's like, just pay $50 and you get all of id's games. Great, bring them on in.
I am so happy that I haven't had that bug.
Stay away.
I have more problems with other physical media.
But the good thing is now I own everything I want to own on Steam, so I'm done.
Yep.
I have stuff on Steam I don't even want to own. I just happen to.
Yeah. You and me both. Came in
Like
some
all
sort of
the
pack.
Splinter Cell games. I'm like, when did I get those?
Came in some sort of humble bundle. I just wanted one of the Worms games, and now I got 20 of them.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do with this?
I got that. I got bit by that one too.
Yeah.
Especially the id pack. Like there was like 3 games on there I really wanted to play.
Yeah, I was like, I'll play Heretic again. Oh, it comes with
You
49
realize-
other games? Sure.
Okay.
Whatever.
Sure.
Craig F writes in, when news about weird messages or features being disabled in pirated games of... I'm just going to start back over.
Okay. Take 2.
Take 2. All right. When news about weird messages or features being disabled in pirated versions of games pops up, parenthetically, Far Cry 4 and Skullgirls, I can't help but wonder this. First off, I don't know about either one of those. Do you guys know about any pirated messages?
So supposedly in Far Cry 4, if you're using a pirated version, the FOV slider will not show up in the options. I haven't heard about Skullgirls, but I think the FOV slider thing for Far Cry was because they had a day one patch that put it in, and I think they've since cracked the day one patch. So
I thought that was just
even,
a real firm dig on PC gamers, where it's like play the console version.
Yeah.
No, if there was something that happened. I'll look up the Skullgirls thing. I'm interested because that sounds weird because it's a total indie company.
He says if they know that a copy is pirated, why doesn't it just not work? These provide funny stories but make boo sense to me. Why not just have pirated copies of your game and give the PC in question computer Ebola?
So first off, that has been done, I think. Where the game like flat out won't work. I think it was one of the Batman Arkham games did something
where
like
you
that.
where you couldn't hit the ground.
No,
Yeah.
Batman Arkham was really interesting. So there's 2 really good examples. One worked and one didn't. So
Yeah.
Batman is one of the most recent ones where your float, when you would jump and glide, it was shorter than it was in the full version. So you couldn't complete one puzzle in the middle of the game because you couldn't make the jump. So people would be like, I can't make this jump. How dare you? And it's like, well, because you stole the game, guys. The other one that was really interesting and brought down a company is Titan Quest.
Oh yeah.
So here's why people don't do this anymore. So what happened with Titan Quest is if they found you had a pirated version of the game, it closed itself.
Yeah.
And it would close itself about 15 to 30 minutes through the game. What that turned into was so many people were reporting that Titan Quest was just broken, but would never admit, well, I downloaded the pirated version. Because someone would say, well, it doesn't work if you download the pirated version. Did you? And they're like, no, bro. I paid for all my games. I just got 5,000 on my hard drive. What? And the game sold so poorly that company went under. So I think when you look at Arkham Asylum, I think it was, that did the pirated version, I think that's the right way of doing it, kind of digging a little bit and getting somebody like 8 hours into the game. And when you look at Titan Quest, they had the right idea of like, well, you can't play my game if you pirated it, but then it had very bad unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah, like the reason you don't do that is because, I mean, if God forbid, like there's a false positive and it just breaks the game, and false positives are way more common than you'd think they are.
Yep.
You're shooting yourself in the foot sales wise. Yeah. It's just bad press. I mean, I like the Batman one. That's a really good one. That could easily be implemented. But when you're talking like, oh, I'm just going to crash the game.
So the other Jay-Z in chat reminds me of a better one. Serious Sam 3 threw an unkillable scorpion tank in the game. So basically it would just plop down and murder you, and it was impossible to kill even with cheat codes. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like that one.
I loved watching videos of that. That was just so great.
Yeah. So I mean, that's always going to be the hard thing, because for some developers, do you care that people pirated it? Maybe not. But if you do, how do you how do you dance that fine line of punishing the pirates but not punishing the people that legitimately bought your game and maybe are having an issue?
Yeah, and like one of the big things now is you'll notice in games like like BioWare's games and in Rockstar's games and in most recently like Shadow of Mordor, you will have like a secondary account sign in.
Yep.
That sort of weeds out. They can obviously be like, oh, are they on Steam? Are they using this? Is it pirated? Is it not?
Yep. And actually,
so
there's a new form of DRM that's out that's starting to get more popular,
Mhm.
where actually every time you fire up the game, it generates you a new CD key.
Oh, really?
So every time you fire it up, you have a brand new product key. I think that's really interesting, and so far has been uncracked. I'm assuming someone will do it at some point, but
yeah, because at the minute you find whatever algorithm and seed they're using
right
to
generator.
generate that
Exactly.
yeah, you got it.
So stuff like that's interesting. That almost seems like if our listeners know about some security, it seems like public key, private key stuff.
Yeah.
So that could possibly succeed, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Next email here from Blake, aka PKS Sauce. He says, "Hi TVGP." Why, hello.
What's up, Sauce?
I just wanted to give you a shout out for being awesome. You're awesome
Thanks.
too, buddy.
Thanks.
Keep on keeping on. Not only is the content of your podcast great, but the fact it comes out every week like clockwork for as long as you have is amazing. This is 370 weeks. You can listen one episode a day. It'll be more than a year.
Yep.
I've been listening since the late double digits, somewhere in the 80s, I think, 2010-ish. So, first off, I'm glad you've stayed with us for as long as you have, because this show was a little weird. I've been listening to you...
Is it?
It still is. I've been listening to you for every week... Let me start back over. Take two. I've been listening to you every week for so long, I thought it might be fun to list some of my milestones and hopefully for all of you to give yours. Met the woman whom I later married, adopted 2 children, moved, bought my first house, promoted 5 times, bought gaming computer, 3DS, PSP, PS3, Vita, PS4, adopted pets, ferret, spider, 3 fish, brother-in-law's senior dog, plus the pets my wife had before me, a dog and 2 cats, and the pet I had before her, a dog, cat, and parrot, lost a catfish and a parrot, listened to 5 great hosts on TVGP, Boston Knobs, Brad, Ryan, and Hannah. It's amazing what can happen in 4/5 years. Thank you all for being there for me every week. I can't wait to hear what happens next.
Got my nipple.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know. I moved to
Moved to outside the
California.
country.
Yeah, quit my job very suddenly.
Yeah.
I'm getting married. I bought a house.
Yeah.
Adult stuff.
Yeah, like it's weird. I'm a 33-year-old adult now, maybe. Jury's still out.
Yeah. I don't even know when I started listening exactly. I think it was in like the mid to late hundreds.
By the way, that's crazy. Can I just say, I listened somewhere in like the middle 100s, like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Jesus.
No, I remember I had been looking for video game podcasts because I was working a job where I was doing a lot of just like manual coding and stuff, and it didn't require any real
And you found
brain power.
Technically a video game podcast.
I did. I found that video game podcast and started listening and really caught on to it, joined the forums, marked myself on the map even.
Oh. Shouldn't
If you say it enough, they'll listen.
They will. And God, since then, got married, moved out of my parents' house, adopted a puppy. I think I've changed jobs twice since then.
25 times?
Yeah. No, only twice. Only twice. Yeah, that seems right. I think I got promoted twice at the last job, and then if you count all that, it's like 5 times. But, yeah, and then became a host somehow.
Ta-da!
Yay!
Dreams come true.
Yeah.
Right? It was literally the most random email I've ever gotten. Hey, you want to be on the show? Okay.
Who are you again?
Yeah, right?
Was it? We've met, haven't we?
Yeah, a lot of stuff has happened.
Milestones for me, what? Divorced.
A little less positive than the other ones. Well, maybe it's not all bad.
Yeah, that is definitely better, but not advocating it. But sometimes things just don't work out.
Yep.
When diamonds aren't forever. um, no, yeah, so got my 2 dogs. Been at the same job, same house,
Pretty good job, pretty good house. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
and ever expanding physical media collection.
Yeah. Oh man, you got so much stuff.
To have a lot
So
of
much
stuff.
round, shiny stuff.
Mine's an ever shrinking physical, but like this mass of just digital media that I will log into an account I haven't seen in years and just go, oh, I own that? Cool.
I am rapidly approaching 900 physical video games right now.
Ooh.
I'm at 875.
Yeah, I don't have room for that.
Help, please.
I honestly haven't counted mine.
Yeah, I don't save yourself the math, and don't.
Well, here's the problem. Remember when I was on an eBay binge for a few years where I was just
Yeah.
magpieing everything?
Oh, I remember that thing. Gimme.
Yeah. It's probably got a lot of weird, rare stuff, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're selling your collection? How much? $20? Gimme.
And it's like, oh, they don't even know what they had.
Yeah.
Gimme. What is it? Like, I need, like, 9 copies of Zool. Like, really?
Don't we all?
You need at least 2.
Yeah. All right, next email here from EJ Fudd. Good evening, fine gentlemen of the podcast. Good evening.
Hello.
I have a question that begs your assistance. How do you walk that thin line of criticizing a game because you believe it to be bad and being disappointed because a game isn't what you want it to be? I.e., I was a bit disappointed by Mass Effect 2 because it did not seem to be markedly different, even in genre, to Mass Effect. However, I still enjoyed the game, versus thinking that both sequels to Ninja Gaiden Xbox were just not good. How do I justify it? I don't know.
We
That's-
rarely blast games on this show.
Yeah, and like anytime we do, like one of the rules for the show is if you don't like something, you have to back it up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, all of us have probably listened to some show or seen some video where someone's like, this game is dumb. Like, the new Madden's dumb. You know, like anybody can say that, but anybody can say, not a lot of people can say, well, I don't really like the new Madden because they changed some of the passing game, and, you know, I feel like the animations aren't great, and, you know, the crowd looks like cardboard cutouts now, and they cut out all these cool features. You know, that to me says, well, I don't like the game, but it's okay because of these reasons.
Yeah.
Oh, Tiger 9, we blasted bad.
Yeah. That was a
Yeah,
bad year for Tiger.
Yeah, it was a bad year for Tiger.
But I think you have to go. I think it's okay to criticize games. I think the thing that I'm getting upset with the internet is it's not okay to hate games. Like, it's okay to say, like, all right, look, I tried this game and it's just, I don't find it good, or it's just not for me, or I picked up this new game and it just doesn't function, or like it's not done, or it's not good. You know, I'm sure everybody has picked up a game where you buy it and you're like, oh, this looks cool, and you play it and it's just not a good game.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay.
That is okay.
But to go to an extreme and say, like, oh, you know, like, look at Drive Club. Drive Club has had and continues to have an incredibly rough launch. I think too many people are ready to call it a disaster. And even more disappointingly and depressingly so, people are willing to call for the studio's closure because the game launched rough.
Yeah.
You don't get to say that people lose their job because a video game came out and is having trouble. You can be upset that your $60 or more, if there was some collector's edition, you feel like you have not yet gotten that value out of that game because of these missing features. That's fine, but you don't get to say, like, well, 500 people don't have a job now. See you later.
All right. Well, I got a
Yeah.
good case in point for us was Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2.
Oh,
Perfect.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever been so scathing on a game on
And
this show.
so disappointed.
It wasn't even so much that it would play just like the original. It was just a disappointment on every level.
Yep.
For me personally, and what I was expecting, and that was one time where my expectations outreached what the game probably ever could have delivered. Probably same thing with Mass Effect 3. I didn't think Mass Effect 3 was bad. It was disappointing to me on a personal level. I don't hate the game. I wouldn't call for BioWare to shut down for that game.
Yeah, they have had a good run. Shut them down. Oh, but when we got The Force Unleashed 2, we were able to say, all right, look, The Force Unleashed 1 was really good. But here are all of the reasons why I'm really upset that my $60 went poorly for this game. And we were able to lay out all of the rather damning reasons.
Yeah.
The other Jay-Z in chat says, here's the solution, don't buy games day one. I mean, I mean, that's
you gotta roll the dice.
That's the ultimate solution, but I think there are always going to be things that you're excited about.
Yeah.
I mean, I was excited about, and I pre-ordered Dragon Age Inquisition. Mm-hmm. I apparently won the dice roll on that one.
Yeah.
I was also excited about Assassin's Creed Unity. I was not right on that one.
I believe the dice actually exploded on that one.
Yeah, and they blew my hands off.
Yeah. You gotta be willing to risk that sometimes.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I think it's okay to still buy games day one. I think it's probably a good idea to be a lot more cautious about it now, because of the problems in day one quality for games. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I don't know. Soulman,
if you don't do your research on it, I mean, the shame's on you.
Well, and sometimes, like Assassin's Creed Unity, the research said this game is turning out really great, and then it lands, and then it has way more problems than it ever did in review. Soulman in chat says there are some games that I'm willing to get Fable 2 to buy.
I loved Fable 2. I got that day one, and I loved it.
The worst.
Whatever.
I'm indifferent.
But that was the game that was probably the first game that I went and I super blasted on this show, and I was really upset that I completely wasted my time and money on Fable 2, but I was able to give a reason. And I think walking that line is really tough, especially because we don't get games for free by publishers. And I have always rejected that from anybody that's really reached out to us, because I feel that part of our value and our worth to you as listeners is I put down my $60 for all these games, or I spent my $15 on Hohokam, and it's the worst. But I can say, instead of saying, oh, it was pretty okay, I spent an hour on it, it was free, whatever, I can say, no, I spent an hour on it, and it's the worst, and it's $15, and my wallet really hurts right now.
Yeah.
And one thing I think is probably to our testament more than anything is we've always put our money where our mouth was. Mm-hmm. We haven't got anything for free.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the reasons why I've always stressed us to kind of continue to purchase our games, is I can say from my own wallet how much this game was worth. And
from
often
your consumer's point of view.
Yeah, and we can say, like, this game was $60. You should probably wait until it's $30. Or there's $20 worth of game there. Or this game's $5 and it's the best value this year. You have to go pick it up because this game has $500 worth of gameplay in it.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, especially we have a penchant for loving bad games. Like Alpha Protocol ended up being our gem of the century.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm still playing Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Like 4 weeks later, that's the only game I'm playing. It was like that was free on PSN. And I don't know. I think that's a really great question with no firm answer. Unfortunately, I think that's the thing that video game criticism is, because I consider as video game critics, not necessarily reviewers. Yeah. But I think anybody that looks at video games with a critical eye is always going to have a problem with. Because it's not, you can't say this $60 game is exactly like this other one. Boom, buy one or the other. Every game that comes out is completely different.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes, as far as walking the line between disappointment and actual objective, review, it's really hard to do, especially because if you're playing games, it's because you like games. It's not just because you want to make an objective criticism of them.
Right.
Personally, I'm playing games for the experience and actually enjoying something.
Yep.
It's not. I'm not paying it to review it. Or not playing it to review it. I'm not playing it to. I'm not paid to play it.
Yeah, we're
And-
gonna let you know if you had. Knobs is gonna let you know if he had fun.
Yeah.
And he's definitely going to let you know if he did not.
You know what? I would say 9 times out of 10, I'll enjoy most games because I feel like you have a group of people that put this game together. I have trouble. I really do have trouble blasting anyone's hard work.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the thing that I think a lot of people misunderstand is like, well, I can't believe they just put out a bad game. They didn't work hard enough. And it's like, no, of course they worked hard enough. They probably had a crunch too, and they're making a Barney game. Like, making video games isn't easy. Otherwise, we all would have made one.
And it doesn't pay as well as you think either.
Yeah, and there are so many factors that are outside of the developer or the developer's control. That means sometimes they don't put out a game that meets their standards.
There are more people with a vested interest than just the developer.
Yeah, remember the stakeholders we were talking about? They love that Christmas money. So if that game is not ready, if it's not ready for November 15th, 2014, you might as well cancel it. Because it's not going to make that money November 15th, 2015.
That's also the reason you've got Bloodborne. They've announced the release date as like late March because that has to be Q1 because that's what they said, and that's where they're going to make their money. If they push it beyond Q1, their stock is going to drop.
Yep.
It's disappointing.
Yeah. All right, next email from EJ Fudd. In a follow-up to my last email, how do you good sirs separate a franchise evolving versus developers/publishers performing the bait and switch? Parenthetically, fundamentally altering a game for mass appeal while marketing to previous customers that the product is still the same when it is most certainly not. End parentheses. Thank you for your time.
Oh, God of War, come on. This is carbon copy the same game over and over again.
Yeah, I this one's tough because I feel a little bit like maybe this is hinting at the BioWare problem.
You think so?
Maybe. When you look at Dragon Age 1 to 2, Mass Effect 1 and 2, when you, and both of them were very much had the thing where it's like, oh no, it's still the same thing. It's cool. Remember your favorite guys from the last one? Oh man, they're totally back. Everybody, yeah, it's all the come on back in, $60.
Yeah.
I think we as a gaming community, I'm trying to use the word gamers less because it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I think we as a community have been burned by it enough that I think everybody is more than willing now to get out in front of it and say like, hey guys, it's not the same thing. Like, shut it down. Everybody, like, red alert. This thing sucks. Or like, here's the changes between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, etc.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would say whatchamacallit, the Command & Conquer series. Where that ended was not the game that was supposed to be.
What was that one? Tiberian Sun?
Yeah. 3 was pretty much kind of close, but there was that one that came after it that was just almost like this little mini squad-based thing.
Oh,
that was
I don't
just
remember what that one was called.
Horrendous.
Actually, Soulman brings up Toe Jam and Earl 2 and 3.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's one of those games, especially Toe Jam and Earl 2, where you can go back and you can not only see, yeah, everything is the same, it's cool, it's like there's some more platforming in it now.
No.
But I think that's also, if you look back at the history of Toe Jam and Earl, that's very much a publisher thing. Like back when the console makers exerted a lot more control, and exerted a lot more control on the publishers, that Sega could walk in there and be like, that first one was really great. Sold pretty well. How about you make it into a platformer? Kids love that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's like, well, that's not our game. And they're like, great, see you in 6 months, make a platformer. And it's sort of like, well, here's Toe Jam and Earl 2, please don't hate it. I'm so sorry. And that's when games cost $80 or $100. So, I mean, it's certainly not a new thing, but I don't know, I kind of lost the point I was going at.
Yeah, I would say that like if you're trying to, there's a fine line between a abandoning your old fans, quote unquote, and just making the game more accessible, I really don't think Mass Effect 1 to 2 is a good example because all they did was make that game more accessible. Because it's a different framework with the same ingredients. That's all it is.
Yeah, and I feel like accessible is a 4-letter word for gaming right now. Like if you look
For
at
some reason,
if
like,
you look
God
at
forbid we have more people playing games.
Dark Souls 1 to 2, where the developers are like, look, we want to make this game a little bit more accessible, and everybody's like, oh, now you're gonna make it way too easy for babies. And it's like, no.
We want people to play it.
It's still gonna be tough. It's just the game isn't all symbols and gibberish anymore. Health says health, and it's red. You know, like these are fairly standard, straightforward changes that we're gonna make so people can play our game. You don't need to go read a wiki to go start the game. You know?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that like gets me. I think with the advent of the internet, it became this sort of thing of like, well, just go look it up. Just go look it up, and sort of usability and like accessibility and user experience went out the window because you could just go look it up. Someone will figure it out.
Yeah, someone wrote a guide. We just here's the official fan guide. Just go crazy.
I mean, yeah. Look at what GameFAQs pretty much destroyed most of the challenges in games. Because remember when you used to get stuck, you had to literally sit there and try and figure it out.
Or talk to one of your friends on the schoolyard where like, hey man, did you get past the third boss in Ninja Gaiden? He's like, oh yeah. It's like, oh, how'd you do it? And it's like, oh, I'm not gonna tell.
Yeah, and then
do
you
it
hit
yourself. Yeah, and then you punch him.
Hey, I figured it out. You should be able to do it.
Yeah. I figured it out, and I'm dumb.
Yeah, like remember back in the day when the Zerg Rush first came in and like no one knew how to defend against it?
Yeah, it's just like there's millions of them. Oh my god.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those are frustrating days, the dark days of the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it should be a bad thing to make your games more accessible to more people. I don't think Dark Souls suffered, because they made it a little bit simpler. Not easier, simpler. There is a difference.
It's easier to get into.
Yes,
yeah.
The initial learning curve is much less steep. I mean, you're talking about the difference between if you want to see the difference. Look at World of Warcraft versus EVE Online.
Yeah,
that's a classic example. Two games that came out around the same time. World of Warcraft had this it ramped you up a little and got a little crazy once you got once you're 60. Once you're 60, 70, they're like, okay, here's what this is really about. You're going to need to go farm reputation. You're going to need to go collect all this inventory stuff. And EVE Online just goes, hey, do you got Excel? No, go get it.
No, you're mining stuff in space. Well, look at, maybe a more direct comparison would be Space-Based DF9 and Dwarf Fortress.
Yes.
Dwarf Fortress is ASCII.
Impossible.
I mean, it is nearly... I bought a book to try and figure out how to play that game. O'Reilly wrote a book about it.
And if O'Reilly wrote a book about it, it's some high-level stuff.
It was a really good book, though. If you want to know how to play Dwarf Fortress, go buy that book. It's really good. So, I don't know. It's that fine line that we were talking about earlier. How accessible do you make a game without making about 500 tutorials at the beginning of the game?
Yeah.
So either you're something accessible, like maybe FTL or Space-Based DF9, or you're the last couple Zelda games where the first 5 hours are tutorials.
Or you're The Witcher.
Yeah, or you're The Witcher where it's like, I don't know, I don't care. You figure it out. See you later.
Go nuts, have potions.
Yeah,
Great.
weakling.
Good job.
Next email here is from EJ Fudd. Yes, again, believe me, I know. One last request. Can Boston finally explain his disdain for Jade Empire?
A little matter of time for that came up today.
I checked the early episodes of Pup, but found mostly only guttural growls of disgust whenever the game is mentioned. Thank you for your time. Okay, so I have not talked about Jade Empire for a good long time. So Brad, the very beginning of TVGP, said, man, you gotta play Jade Empire. It's so cool. It's BioWare. It's like this cool Asian mythology. It's so, like punching dudes and stuff. I kind of had two fundamental problems with that game. One is that BioWare has already figured it out, and they resolved it in Mass Effect, which is when you were going to go through dialogue trees with characters, they would show everything that your character was going to say when you picked an option.
Yeah.
So you just read it, and you're like, oh, that one sounds good, and then your character goes and says it, and you're like, oh my god. Okay, you
I
didn't
just
even need to
read it.
say anything at this point. Like, and sure, Mass Effect wasn't always good about that, because sometimes Mass Effect is like, yeah, we'll give them what they're gonna get, and your character be like, I'll kill them all. It's like, whoa, no, whoa, wait, whoa, whoa. That was not the genocide option. Everybody be cool.
Why wasn't that one in red font?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like, hey, let's go down for some beers, and next thing Shepard just shoots everybody. And it's like, nope, thanks. My other problem with Jade Empire,
Good night, Manuel.
yeah, it's one of my favorites. My other big problem is that game ended as it was getting good at like the halfway point. So basically, spoilers for Jade Empire.
Oh no.
Basically, you go through all this stuff, and I finally felt like my character had been built up to a great point. I got all these cool punchy kicky moves. There was some really cool looking stuff, and your character gets killed in the story, and you go to like Valhalla, whatever it is in that mythology, and you fight your way out, which is super super cool.
Yeah.
And then you fight a boss after that, basically the person that had killed you. Credits. Like, as soon as the game started getting good and I finally started getting my hands on it, it just ended. And I was like, people that finished Halo 2 day one mad. We're just like, how dare you? How dare you? And it just, I felt like I had finally gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, Jade Empire, okay, yeah, like this is finally, all right, I'm really getting into it.
It finally clicked.
Yeah, and like I was finally looking forward to getting into the rest of it, and the rest of it was the credits sequence. So, for me, I feel like that was my Halo 2 moment. The famous moment that everybody hears where it's like, let's finish the fight, credits. And it's just like, yeah, is that after the credit? No, that's the main menu. Okay. How could you guys do this to me? And I feel like that was the same thing for me at that point. We're just like, I just started liking you, and now you're over. How could you?
That was the same way I felt with Force Unleashed 2, as I was just starting to get my Jedi sea legs back.
Like 2 hours in.
Well, remember that one, I was all hyped about the game, I was so happy, and then I found, like, I played it, like, 2.5 hours, and then I finished it the next sitting in, like, 20 minutes. I was like, this is just...
What the credits?
I was in a party with Mackie, and I had a meltdown.
Yep. I think that's the only time I get incredibly disappointed in games. That's why I was incredibly disappointed in Fable 2. Because there's this cool sequence in the middle where, like, you go into this jail or something, and you, over time, get corrupt, and you find a way to escape, and you're, like, doing all this cool stuff. But it's this, like, it's like the end of Xenogears. It's like the second disc of Xenogears, where they're telling you all this cool stuff, where, like, you're talking to this guard, and it's like, oh man, that's totally cool how we did, like, that whole jail escape, and all this stuff exploded, and all the cool stuff, and it's like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And you don't.
I'll be honest, I think that's probably part of the reason I think of Fable 2 so fondly is because, so the story of my acquiring Fable 2, I was, working in video game retail at the time, got it day one, got home, turned on my Xbox, Red Ring of Death. So I was like, no, I'm playing this game.
No way home.
This is probably 11 o'clock at night. I had like just gotten home. I was like, all right, I'm going to play a little Fable 2 before I go to bed. No, I did the poor man's reflow. I wrapped my Xbox 360 in towels and blankets and overheated it so that the solder would reflow onto the board and keep the CPU in place, and then shoved it in the freezer so it would harden and cool. Turned it on.
It's like Metal Gear Solid 1 all over again.
Yeah. And I turned it on, and it worked. And I threw Fable 2 in there, and I beat it straight through in 15 hours.
Jesus.
Ooh.
I just sat down and played it and just rocked it. And was
can't turn it off. If this goes under 65, it blows up.
Yeah, it was like speed. So I turned off the system. I was like, oh, I forgot to take the disc out. That was a fun game. I take the disc out, it pops back out, and it red ringed again. I'm like, all right.
We had our time, buddy.
Time to call Microsoft.
It was like a summer romance. We had our 3 months, and now I'm back to college.
Yeah, I bet if I played it again, I wouldn't like it as much. But
Yeah.
What I
Keep
got
that
out of it-
memory. Keep
Yeah.
that memory.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
that's a game you don't want to go back on because it's never going to be that good.
Nope.
Yeah.
Very few games you can go back on that are as good as you remember them being.
Toe Jam and Roll 1, man. That game's still solid.
It's like Res for me. I could sit
Yep.
down and play that game. Same thing with the Frequency and Amplitude games.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
All right, our very last email here, Mark O, aka Soul Man, writes in. What up, homies? What up, Soul
Hey,
Man?
hey.
what's up?
Congrats on the impending marriage. Thank you very much. Here's some questions for the mailbag episode. Number 1, Boston, assuming you're flying for the honeymoon. I am not. What, if any, is your plane game? Mine was Dragon Quest 1 and 2 on the Game Boy Advance SP, while A was reading, which I'm assuming is his wife. My playing game is typically RPGs, because that's just something, like the last time I flew, I read like 4 books on the flight.
Nice.
The time before that, I played Persona 4 Golden for the Vita. When you turn the wireless off on the Vita and you put it in airplane mode, that barely lasts forever.
Yeah, it does.
And I played a good amount of that. I really like RPGs because you can just grind. You can just grind for a 4-hour flight. If there's turbulence, it doesn't matter because you're not trying to dual stick shoot or anything.
Yeah.
That would be, or like I'll bring my GBA and play Final Fantasy V. Because I know that game by heart, so who cares? I fall asleep halfway through. Who cares? Do you guys have any good like traveling flying games?
I mean, really, just having my Vita when I used to commute downtown was the best thing ever. That was phenomenal on the train. On the flight over to Ireland for my honeymoon this year, I played a ton of Luminous.
Nice.
Just way more than is advisable. And, man, that was...
It's never enough.
Yeah, it really
That's true.
isn't. I burned out the battery about 2 hours away from landing, so I ended up watching The Matrix after that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not big on flying, so that if I'm usually on the wheel anyway, so there isn't much mobile game.
So the Vita and Luminous.
Yeah. Just,
Yeah, it's just zip tied to your steering wheel.
It's just that I got the suicide dial on it, and just
Yep.
kind of keep everything.
Yep.
It's on a yoke, so it sits nice in the middle, so it always stays square.
Oh yeah.
it's on a gyro, so it doesn't really move anywhere.
Oh yeah.
If I,
You're
if I
good.
get in an accident, it's gonna mess up my grill though, because it's right in front of the airbag.
It's worth it. His second question here is the 1000th title of the collection is upon us, which I'm assuming is his. What should be the 1000th title? I'm thinking obscure like Rule of Rose by Atlas or Capcom's The Misadventures of Tron Bonne. What should I do with them now that they've been lovingly preserved in junk? Gaze upon their majesty. I always like that. Like when I had my collection, I could just. I hate this dog. I could just look at them and go, I hate this dog. I'm gonna close the window.
I do when I go downstairs, I sit and I marvel at my wall of movies.
That's what
Like,
I did
just,
a lot.
I just go like, man, that's a lot of money on that wall.
Man, it's so pretty.
And then I start thinking there's like different ways to organize it, or like I just finally put all my Blu-rays in alphabetical order because that collection has gotten out of control at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for his 1000th game, I think it either has to be like something cool you've been looking for a while, like Tron Bonne, and like you have to spend the money for all that stuff, or you have to go with something like one of the worst games, like get E.T. on the Atari.
I was just thinking that in my head.
Yeah.
You get a copy of E.T. and frame it.
Yep, and just number 1000.
Or get something like ridiculous, like get the full like Steel Battalion setup from the original Xbox.
Something like that, yeah. Like something where it's kind of like, this is my game. Like Rule of Rose, yeah, that's a cool game.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people wouldn't know that. Same with Tron Bonne. That's fairly famous for being really rare. But like, I feel like you gotta get, like Hannah, I think you're right. Like, you gotta get that framed piece. Like,
Yeah.
what stinks so bad, I have to seal it in glass.
Make a diorama. Make a diorama of Mario Paint.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or like get a Earthbound complete in box and like frame that on the wall or something.
Yeah.
Like something.
Yeah. Something real special.
Yeah.
Get it bagged and boarded.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They need to do that for cartridges.
Yeah.
I think they do for
CC
like,
rating.
They do, by the way, and it's the worst thing. It's a scam. I don't even want to talk about it. It's so bad. All right, well, I hear my parents downstairs, so I should probably wrap up this episode, and we're all out of emails and tweets. Thank you very much, everyone, for writing back. If you're watching this live, we'll be back in like a week and a half. If you're listening to it now, we'll be back in a week. Yay!
Yay.
You can visit us, tvgp.tv, email us, tvgpfans@gmail.com. Tweet us at TVGP, and everything else is on the right-hand side of the page.
And don't forget to join the forums. Mark yourself on the map. Join us for Monday Night Game Night, 10 p.m. EST, Battlefield 4 on the Xbox One, Steam Game Night, yada, yada, yada.
Go.
Game Club.
Go, Ninja,
stuff.
go, Ninja, go.
Yeah, Game Club, Deus Ex Human Revolution. Play it. Play it hard.
Boom. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you very much, everyone, for writing in. I've had to do a couple mailbags this year because it's been crazy. So I super appreciate everyone writing in. We'll see you all next week.
Laters.
Peace.
And we're not gonna do titles this week because it's a mailbag.
All right.
Hey,
you
say
have
hi,
any really
say
good
hi,
ones?
say hi to the Papa Hannas for me.
Yeah, we'll do.
Do you have any good, super good titles?
Let's see. I hate this dog. Punchy, kicky moves. What the credits? Jay-Z had a great one. Gaze upon their majesty.
I like what the credits.
What the credits? Mailbag.
Credits.
All right, let's do that one.
All right.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 370 for November 24th, 2014. What the credits?
Mailbag!
Already?
All right, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We'll see you in like a week and a half. Bye.
Then,